Welcome, Dipali. It's a pleasure to speak with you at the NDTV World Summit. And I think this is the absolute apt conversation, not just for the topic of the session, but in the context of what we're celebrating today at the World Summit, the India Century. But let me begin by saying, even though the topic of the conversation is women in business, redefining the workplace, in a sense, it's a bit passé. Because women in the workplace is no longer new. When I speak to Dipali Goenka today, I see a powerhouse, a business leader in her right, like any other member of the business community. So let me start by asking you a question about how you, as a business leader, look at the Indian economy today in the context of our conversation of Indian companies dominating what we hope will be India's century.
First of all, thank you, Tamanna. Thank you, NDTV World, for inviting me today. For one of the most, I love this conversation about women and in leadership. So when we talk about India, let me give you a perspective. You know, when we launched first of our plants in 1993, I remember the time when India was just opening up the license Raj. They couldn't even imagine that we could make towels. They said, oh, you must have changed the label. It's not made in India by an Indian company. Now today, when we talk about India, India has become an integral part of the supply chain for all the global retailers. Everybody is thinking about India. When you talk about Walmart, they're talking about $10 billion, kind of outsourcing from India. There's Uniqlo talking about India. So, India is in a very sweet spot. Not only because it is becoming an integral part of the supply chain, one of the most stable democracy that you see here, Tamanna. You see the leadership in the terms of infrastructure, the growth. You see the neighboring countries still struggling. And that's where India really holds its own. And apart from that, when we talk about India as a country, the consumption, 1.4 billion people, it's not about the consumption for India itself. It is also about the workforce, which is going to be the youngest for the next 30 years. So for me, that's where I feel really, I said India is in where? It's the Indian era right now. And let me be very proud of that and say that, we'll talk about, saying that, we'll be the third largest or maybe the second largest economy very soon. And I think that's what just keeps me going as a leader as well.
Yeah. You talked about India's space or position in the global supply chain. And you work, Welspun of course works with some of the biggest retail brands. I want to understand the distance that has been traveled. For the longest time, for India in many sectors to compete, there was the cost question vis-a-vis China, the quality question. Do you think that we've surpassed some of those barriers? And today, in a China plus one world, India stands stronger?
We are reaching there. With China, China has been the factory of the world for the longest time. And to get India there, we are reaching there. I'll give an example for Welspun today. Our plants are one of the best plants, I could say, in the world in the terms of textiles. And it is not just about the machines, automation, Industry 4.0 that we can talk about, but about our people. Our people are trained in Industry 4.0. They are upskilled. We are talking about women, in diversity. We are talking about the entire supply chain with complete traceability, blockchain, and innovation. I think as India as a country, as we evolve, we are absolutely there to offer the best in class. I'll give a small anecdote here and share that with you. Our flooring plant, which is in Telangana, you see these kind of wall-to-wall carpets today here. You see the wooden flooring. They were all made in China and the other countries, not in India. The entire supply chain was dependent to China. We completely indigenized the supply chain, and now 70% is outsourced from India. So there's this ecosystem. And Tamanna, let's not forget, when I talk about ourselves as textile industry as well, or the other industries, the MSMEs is the bedrock. and the kind of support that the government has, opened up for the MSMEs, I think that again is a great opportunity for India as a story and being an integral part of that supply chain as well.
Right now, as a business leader, what in your view are the biggest headwinds and tailwinds? Let me start with the tailwinds, of course. We are an economy growing at 7 to 8%. That's the easy bit. So let me come to you on the headwinds. Do you think the biggest concern right now is what's happening geopolitically in the space you are in especially?
Absolutely, Tamanna. And I think a lot of people will agree that when you are in this scenario where I think the disruptions that can happen are going to be more than anything but geopolitical. I mean, today, I always say when people ask me about, my business and they talk about, what do you think about business? What do you think about the demand? I say, while India is growing and India has a great opportunity, and for us as well as an opportunity, I think it is humongous. But I must tell you that the Red Sea has been the biggest challenge today. And that, again, is an aftermath of the geopolitical situation that we are in. So the entire supply chain is in chaos. So your supply chain, actually, where it could have been 4 months or 6 months, had gone to 12 months. Because you're planning in advance, your working capital is over-leveraged. You have to really plan when it is going to reach the shores of America. I mean, and how do you work backwards? So it is very, very chaotic. So let me tell you, while there are opportunities for India, because India is in that sweet spot, for us more so, because when I talk about textiles, the Xinjiang cotton is something which is now people are absolutely looking at that as a kind of starter for any business. So Indian cotton is again into prime here. Everything is good, but again the supply chain, leveraging the entire, the whole ecosystem in the terms of timelines has been the biggest challenge, Tamanna, today for me.
We're speaking, Dipali, ahead of the festive season. For a lot of business and sectors, it's one of the prime seasons of the entire calendar year. A good idea and time to also do a consumption check.
Yeah.
What are the kind of wins you are getting in terms of consumption? Are you looking forward to a robust festive season this time?
So I will say that it could be something where I will keep it. I remember, like when I saw the Q1 opening up for us this year, it was pretty slow. Q2 starts picking up. But when I see now we're right in the festive season, still it is just warmish. And that the shopping will happen in the last 1 week of the season. More so, I'll tell you, with the whole quick commerce that's come into play, the opportunities to buy 24/7, and there are a lot of great deals, the consumer is getting more savvier of what she's picking up, So I think now the season is about being 12 months. It's not just about the Diwali season.
Okay.
So I think that's something that you're seeing as a differentiation. The interesting thing I must also add on here is the digitization. When we talked about COVID and, where India was at 10% in the terms of commerce, e-commerce, today it is at 25%. And you see this economy in India taking it up more so rapidly. Whether it's quick commerce, it's a neighborhood, you're ordering your food, your best food, or you want anything. You can now order a dal, you can order your sargi. Karwa Chauth's just gone by. You could have ordered your sargi, just 5 hours ahead of what you want. So I think now this has become convenience. So either we call it, buy online, pay in store in America, where you can, order either online or go to the store to pick up, or, you order there or go, they can be delivered home. So this is the kind of convenience that the consumers are seeking, and more so the Gen Z and the millennials.
Okay, so festive season, you're hoping will pick up, consumption will pick up, but we've been seeing a trend of premiumization. Are you seeing that sustaining? In a lot of spaces, you're seeing premium products get more attention, customers seeing more growth there. Are you looking at that trend?
I'll tell you one thing. When economies globally are uncertain, The economies are in turmoil. There are two things, the two segments that do well. Either the cheap, the economic segment, or the luxury. And this is a trend worldwide. You would have seen last year as well, all the luxury brands, they did tremendously well.
Yes.
And so that's where the discretionary spends started kicking in. Or otherwise, it's the mass market that starts, the brands there, they start doing well because this is where, it works. The middle segment tends to suffer there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still seeing that premiumization trend continue?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dipali, we've done a sort of a temp check of industry and where you see Indian business going. I want to come now to your story because it's just fascinating. We're talking about women leadership here, and I'm really curious to know what your journey was like.
So you know what? I tell my daughters, Tamanna, always. I tell them, you know what? You have an opportunity to have, learned, gone to college, have had, the way you wanted to. For me, I got married at the age of 18. I had children early, and I started working at the age of 30. I was a homemaker. And I have 2 daughters. So my journey began not only for myself, because I always believe as a human being, you have to constantly evolve. And I think that's the way I've always believed in, constantly learn. But it was also important for me to set an example for my daughters. Because it is about that if I can do it, my daughters can do it. And that's where I'll open doors for many women, many girls. And that's where the journey of struggle began in 2003. Learning on the ground, learning from scratch wasn't easy for me, Tamanna. But I think I've always believed in that if you believe in it, you can do it. And if you have the commitment, you can definitely look at and never give up. I mean, these are a couple of things that I always believe in. And that's the spirit I've maintained till today. 2010, when I got on board of textiles as well, from $400 million to today, we are at $1.2 billion as a revenue at Welspun Living Limited. I think it's been a very interesting journey because I didn't know anything about textiles. I didn't know how the cotton was bought, what is spinning, what is weaving, and what is processing, Tamanna. I learned everything on the ground, but I played on my strengths. And what were my strengths? Because I know as a consumer what a woman needs in a home product. And that was as simple as that. Then again, creating a company, creating an organization which not only does have, men, but women. Because in a manufacturing facility, primarily, they were just men. And from 8% to today, around 28% women. I think it's been an interesting journey towards diversity, towards innovation, and towards sustainability, and keeping the consumer at the core, and looking at analytics about what the consumer will buy. So I think it's been a very interesting journey for me so far.
That's so inspiring. I think a round of applause here for Dipali's journey and for you coming today and saying that when I started out, I did not know X, Y, Z and I learned it. लेकिन दीपाली जी इसमें एक चीज़ है, चूँकि आप महिलाएं हैं, तो मल्टीटास्किंग एक तरफ और एक अलग एनालिसिस लाना बिजनेस के लिए, ये आपके सामने वाले कितने जल्दी समझ पाए?
थोड़ा मुश्किल रहा बिकॉज कई बार लोग यही समझते हैं. आई मीन इट वुड बी लाइक इफ आई वुड गो विथ माई वर्क कलीग फॉर अ मीटिंग, दे वुड टॉक टू हिम एंड नॉट टू मी. तो वो रहा. बट मैंने हमेशा यही विश्वास रखा है कि अगर आप अपने आप पे विश्वास रखते हैं तो सबको बाद में आप पे विश्वास करना ही पड़ेगा. बिकॉज बाय द एंड ऑफ इट, इट्स अबाउट द वर्क दैट यू डू एंड द इम्पैक्ट दैट यू मेक. आपने अभी तमन्ना एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ बोली, एंड ये सबके लिए एक बहुत, हम जब डिवर्सिटी की भी बात करते हैं, मैं ये बोलना चाहूँगी आपसे कि मैंने अपनी जर्नी तो आपके सामने रखी, बट अगर मेरे को ज़्यादा बहनें और ज़्यादा मोर विमेन कमिंग इन टू वर्क फोर्स, it's not an easy journey, and there are a lot of women who will agree to that as well here. Now, when I talk about textiles, I mean, it is absolutely labor intensive. At Welspun Living, we have around 15,000 people working with us. Now getting that around 20 to 30% women in that workforce, बहुत काम करना पड़ा. Because family को बताना पड़ा कि आप अगर वर्कलोड शेयर करेंगे तो ये काम कर पाएंगी और कंट्रीब्यूट कर पाएंगी घर के खर्चे के अंदर. So it's been a very you sensitize the family, then have a roadmap for her, give her the convenience, and the important thing is अब रूरल में तो कर लेंगे पर आपके जो वाइट कॉलर पे आप आते हैं वहाँ पे सबसे ज़्यादा स्ट्रगल रहती है.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And you know why I'm saying this? Because being a woman, I have faced it. So I had to see that how could I make a path easier for women working in my offices as well.
Well, it's an inspiration to see a woman at the helm in India Inc. And thank you for that, Dipali. That's an amazing story. But I want to also come to the point of what you bring in as a leader, and an important part in your sector, which is a question of sustainability, especially in textiles. It's become the need of the hour. How do you tackle a challenge like that? Because we are a cost-sensitive country. You have to keep your margins intact as well.
Totally.
And you need to move to sustainability.
Totally. So Tamanna, first of all, I always say that sustainability is not expensive. And it is the impact. I'll tell you in Anjar, हमारी factory है कच्छ में. It is in a desert area, जहाँ पर अगर मैं बताऊँ अंजार वो area है जहाँ पर भूकंप आया था 2002 में. There's not a drop of fresh water there. And सारा पानी नर्मदा से आता था. We actually use around 30 million liters of water to be precise. और कई बार पानी सूखा पड़ जाता है. Then if we would have used that water for textiles, हम पानी यूज़ करते तो ना तो farmers के पास पानी रहता, ना communities के पास रहता. Today, with our STP program, sewage treatment plant that we have, we don't use a drop of fresh water. And सारा हम communities से सारा sewage का पानी लेते हैं, वहाँ उनको royalty देते हैं. So that we could use that fresh water, that sewage water and recycle it and use it in our operations. So farmers get water for irrigation and there's potable water for the villages as well.
And villagers actually get paid for the usage
the royalties
of their
given to the
sewage
villages.
water. That's amazing.
So I'm saying sustainability is such an important aspect. So for us at Welspun, we have another 3 years of a roadmap that we've made. How much water, so fresh, zero fresh water, landfill zero, green, being green by 2027 and 2030, is a roadmap that we have made for ourselves. And we report back to the board every quarter about our performances in sustainability and the social impact that we do in our communities as well. One of the interesting programs that I have is the upcycling of rags, where जो चिंदियाँ निकलती हैं हमारे ऑपरेशन से, हम कम्युनिटीज़ में पिटलूम पे हमारी जो बहनें हैं वो कम्युनिटी सेंटर्स में आके जब भी उनको टाइम होता है कुशन्स बनाएंगी, रैग्स बनाएंगी, मतलब उसके रग्स बनाएंगी, एंड दे अपना बैंक अकाउंट खुद ऑपरेट करती हैं, एंड दे आर अर्निंग 20,000 rupees per month. Because I believe that if a woman is independent and empowered, the child will definitely go to school. And sitting in Delhi or sitting in Bombay is easy to think and envision, okay, my child has to do his, education complete. But think about India. That India where the literacy still is at 60 to 70%. Look at China, which is at 100% literacy rate. If a mother is empowered, definitely the child is going to go to school. Otherwise, the father would say, to abhi kaam pe lag ja, because I don't have money to support you. So I think these are very important aspects, and as corporates, I think we need to start thinking from the grassroots. So when I say sustainability, I think to create a sustainable future for India, sustainable future for the world, sustainability is not expensive.
Amazing. Do you think corporate India is doing enough of its part for sustainability beyond the marketing bit of it, or beyond CSR, or beyond what looks good or sounds good? Do you think enough is being done?
We have a long way to cover, but I think the journey is still begun. Journey is still begun in the terms of that 1% that the companies have to give for the the CSR as well. I think these are small steps, but like corporates, if they start looking at India and not just contributing, and not just doing businesses, but becoming the agents of change, is where that we'll start making a difference.
Amazing. Dipali, as we wrap, one message from you, for women leaders in all fields, may not just be in corporate, maybe in any field, maybe in their lives. How do you take charge?
By believing in yourself and never giving up. The road is not easy. The journey is not going to be easy. And there'll be a lot of times you'll feel that I can just, hang my boots and I don't want to do it. But then that's the time you give that extra effort and move ahead. I think that's what it is. And believe in yourself.
Amazing. Thank you, sir. Amazing words there from Dipali Goenka. Thank you so much for joining us today.